Happy Monday, friends. Ask a Lawyer is back today with 4 new juicy stories for you and, of course, my insights. So let's begin with the first story about a woman who is upset her ex-husband is visiting her parents with his new girlfriend. Yeah, sounds strange, I know, but watch the story till the end. Enjoy. So, basic background is I'm 42, 2 kids, age 14 and 12, and signed divorce papers in April after almost 2 years of it being drug out, trying to get my fair share from him. The details of why are not important, but I'm angry, embarrassed, lost, and sad any given moment of the day. A lot of this has to do with feeling like I've been replaced by a 23-year-old surfing instructor who is everything I'm not. My husband and kids claim that she is just a friend and helping him learn his lifelong desire to surf. But Jesus Christ, give me a break. My husband has primary custody because he had better lawyers who were able to manipulate some minor missteps on my part into the court, seeing them as a huge deal. So this past weekend, I picked up the kids and said we were going to visit my parents. They said they would rather use their season passes to SeaWorld since they spent all weekend with my parents and Aunt Stacy and Uncle Brian, my brother and sister, who I didn't even know were in town. I was like, "Your dad took you?" They said yes, that my parents had invited him over to see everyone. I was devastated because while I don't get along with my brother and sister and my mom, they let my ex-husband know they were coming and not me. I can't even let that sink in without tears forming. I sort of jested that, "Oh, and let me guess, Miss Surf Instructor was there too." My daughter said, "Well, we actually went to her house in Ocean Beach because she gave Stacy and Brian lessons after hours." That included my mom and dad. I was so devastated, I took the kids back home and just went home and cried for an hour. When I was done, I sent a furious email to my entire family how inappropriate they all had been, and then not only hanging out with my ex for an entire weekend, but his little Chippy as well, is a massive slap in the face. And the fact they didn't even tell me they were in town, let alone invite me, makes me feel so alone. My mom was the only one to respond, and she basically said, "Yes, it was rude we didn't tell you Stacy and Brian were here, and we shouldn't have done that. But we didn't divorce Bradley, and we still see him as a son. This email, along with your behavior over the last 5 years, should really give you insight into why we might not want you at family events." In so many words, she called me an idiot for sending the email. Was I? Okay, guys, I can see a lot of red flags here. Father has primary custody. She doesn't get along with her family. Her family highlighted her behavior for over 5 years as being the problem. So the reason for all of that is that apparently OP cheated on her husband 3 years ago, and she calls that a minor misstep. Sorry, but that is a major misstep. The courts clearly saw it as a major misstep as well. I bet the judge also spoke to your children without either parent in the court and let them have a say in who they gave full custody to. Her family would rather be around her ex than her. That says a lot of things about OP. So yes, I think OP is an idiot. Last year, I took in my nephew, who is now almost 17, after my sister and her husband kicked him out because of his orientation. I'm a single parent of 2 kids of my own, 15-year-old girl and 12-year-old boy, and we live in another state, so it was a big transition for everyone, but I felt it was important. I should also note that I left the Church of Latter-day Saints, Mormon, 8 years ago and moved out of Utah. It's part of the reason I am divorced. Anyway, last night I took the kids out to a local carnival and my nephew ran into his boyfriend there. I put boyfriend in quotes because they aren't really dating. In my family, they would refer to it as crushing on each other instead. The boyfriend joined our group and my nephew took a picture of him with my 2 kids and posted it on social media saying, "Nothing better than hanging out with the people I love." I thought it was innocent enough. He never said they were dating, and you can love your friends, but another one of my nieces saw it and reported it to my nephew's mom, my sister. My sister is furious. She said that she should have been notified that he was dating. When I told her that they aren't even dating, she said that she should have been told they were interested in each other. Here's the thing though. There is no expectation that kids need to tell their parents who they are crushing on, and my sister never felt the need to know when she thought her son was straight. Now that she knows he's gay, I don't think the rules should change to where she has to know if he has a crush on his friends. I also told her that she doesn't really have a say anymore. I have legal guardianship over my nephew. He's living in my home. She kicked him out. She started crying after I said this and told my family, so I've been answering phone calls all morning hearing about how awful of a person I am for saying that to my sister. I don't see it, but maybe I'm wrong. Should I have told her, even though they aren't serious? Was it a low blow to say the things I said to her? Am I the idiot? Edit. I feel like an idiot now for asking this question. It probably seems obvious to many people, but this is all brand new to me. Walking away from the church and my ex-husband was the hardest thing I have ever had to do, and I think I still carry a lot of guilt from that. My kids don't get to see a lot of their family on their dad's side because we aren't welcome for walking away. To have my whole family pissed at me again really hurt. I don't know anything about raising a 17-year-old in general, and I am only now getting caught up on what it means to have a gay child, so it's a learning process. When you grow up in the environment I did, it's hard to feel confident in any decision you make. Everything I did from the time I started talking to leaving my husband and the church has been questioned. Going against my family automatically makes me feel like I am messing up. When I picked a college, they didn't want me to go and refused to acknowledge or pay for. My first thought was that I messed up. When I divorced my husband and left Utah and my family stopped speaking to me, I thought I messed up. It has taken years to overcome what I have been taught, and I am not a confident person. I let my 12-year-old join the football team this year and can't stop questioning that. Every decision I make is harder for me than it is for most people. Okay guys, do you want to hear my opinion on this situation? I think that OP does not owe her sister updates on her son's life. She disowned him, kicked him out of the house. How dare she complain to the family that OP doesn't provide her with information? She doesn't deserve any information about her son's relationship. Do you agree with me? Edit. I have decided to start therapy to help me overcome my nature of second-guessing the decisions I make. I have also started following the ex-Mormon sub on my main account, which has shown me that I am not alone. So many ex-Mormon women struggle with confidence after leaving the church. This is something I always knew I needed work on for the sake of my kids, but it has been amplified. I didn't think I made the wrong decision in not telling my sister about my nephew's boyfriend. But there was that nagging thought in the back of my head. I am hoping therapy helps with that. My nephew will also be continuing therapy. He started when he moved in, but stopped going because he adjusted so beautifully and didn't think he needed it anymore. He has been great, but he has next to no contact with his parents and siblings, and one of the few contacts he has from back home showed his mom the Instagram post featuring his boyfriend. So he has a lot of emotions to unpack and agrees that therapy might help. I am also starting the process of filing for child support. I don't want my sister's money, but I am a single parent in a pricey California town. I have a good job, but supporting 2 teens and a preteen isn't easy, especially since the oldest will be going to college soon. He will qualify for in-state tuition at UCs and Cal States, which will cut down the cost if he goes to one of those schools. But the extra income will be nice for him, and I have to put my pride aside to do what's best for my nephew. He is entitled to that money. Other than all of that, we are still doing well. School starts in a couple of weeks, and my nephew has been out practicing with my son to get him ready for middle school football. My nephew is looking forward to being the school board representative for his high school and thinks he has a shot at captain for his water polo team. We are taking one final trip before school starts, and I fully expect the kids to argue the entire 3.5 hours there, but it's fine. That's what siblings are for. I am not happy about the situation that landed my nephew here, but we are thankful he's in our lives. I think OP is doing a great job with her nephew and kids, and good for her for seeking therapy. Hopefully, that will help her now and in the future. I met my husband 13 years ago. We were married after 2 years of being together. When I first met him, he told me that he had a 2-year-old daughter that he had no interest in being a father to, and that she wasn't a planned baby. I accepted this, and accepted that he just paid child support and that was it. His child lives with her mom in Pasadena, and we live in Vermont, so as you can imagine, worlds away. My husband never expressed an interest in going to see his child, maintaining contact. They never spoke or exchanged birthday cards, Christmas cards, etc. My husband said that he never had any intention to be a dad, and that this child was born despite his pleas to get rid of it. I accepted this because I myself am child-free. My childhood was spent slaving away looking after my mother's 5 other children. And while she was constantly on drugs, it fell to me to be mom. I am not okay with children, having children, or wanting to foster maternal bonds with children. When I entered into this relationship, it was 100% done under the trust that my husband had no contact with this child or wanted to be a father. Last year, his daughter made a Facebook account and reached out to him. She spilled her heart out, said she had sleuthed away into finding her father, she wanted a relationship desperately, etc. My husband came to me in turmoil and in tears, asked for permission to go and see her. I was angry. My world had turned upside down. My own place in his world had now changed. Everything was different. But I swallowed my hurt, and never once did I let him feel my own fear. I told him to go and make his peace. Since then, he has regularly flown to see her. He has had an apparent complete change of heart and has taken on the role of daddy with enthusiasm and gusto, to the delight of both his daughter and her mother. A few weeks ago, he sat down and had a serious talk with me. He said he knew my stance on children, but he begged me to integrate this child into my life, to let her come and stay with us from time to time, to open my heart to her. I told him I couldn't do that. I said I would rather divorce than be a step-parent to a child I never knew would be in my life. To be clear, I honestly, 100% know for certain that they had never communicated since before last year. Had I known, I would have left, as it's unfair to his child. She only has one father, whereas I can go and find another partner. I feel horrible. I feel like a terrible person, like I'm an evil witch. But I also feel like this is horribly unfair to me. Any insight on if my behavior is as an idiot, would be very much appreciated. Edit. My husband asked me to take on being a mom with him. He used those exact words. He hasn't just asked me to open up our home a few times a year. Edit Part 2. Just to paint a better picture. He speaks of her enthusiastically, which I'm happy about. He becomes sullen and withdrawn when I don't join in the topic with equal enthusiasm. He has started a college fund from our shared savings. We have a lot in there, and I added to it thinking we could share an early retirement. That's gone out the window. He has taken over the second bedroom that used to be mine and has decorated it so she has a space to stay. That's very well and good, except he has the basement, which he recently spent $90,000 converting into an at-home gym. My second bedroom was my walk-in closet/shoe store, and now it's all packed away in suitcases while we figure out where it goes. He wants me to actively take an interest in her life, beginning with the visits and building up so that we function as a family. There's nothing wrong with that, except I never consented to being part of this type of family, and he knew that. All of our vacation days have been wasted since he booked them more than a year ago, and now he has used every single one to visit her. When I asked him to let me go at my pace, he is unable to see why it's important. He's making up for lost time. I am not. I think that it will end up in divorce, guys. I don't think OP is an idiot, as she met and married this man with some very serious and honest promises made. He has broken them, apparently, permanently. I also do not think OP is under any obligation whatsoever to meet his child. Him asking her to do so is not okay. She married him because she trusted his promise he had no interest in this child. He married her knowing full well that she never wanted children or stepchildren. Also, I find it a strange change of heart for the husband to go from complete no contact with his daughter to being so involved in her life. I have a 16-year-old son, and he has 4 half-siblings who are all younger than him. I was only ever with his mom for a brief period of time, and we both agreed prior to sleeping with each other that we were on the same page about not having a kid. Obviously, that didn't work out because she got pregnant. I did practice safe S and wore rubbers, but hey, I'm a dad now anyway. I asked her to abort. She said she'd changed her mind and she kept the baby. I wasn't thrilled about being a dad. After paternity was established, I set about paying child support and that was it. I had no intention of wanting to be in his life, especially because my own parents had kicked me out and I was still a kid myself. After a few months though, I felt the need to be there and actually be a father, so I put aside my own feelings and put him first. We are incredibly close today, and I'm so glad and grateful that I got to be his dad. I was 18 when I had him, and over the years I was lucky enough that I was able to become financially independent and, in essence, retire early, so I'm able to give my son experiences that I never had. He chose to live with me when he was 11, which was a huge sore spot for his mom. But he'd always beg prior to that because his brothers and sisters would break his stuff, and he'd get yelled at because he's the oldest, etc. His mom has always been courteous, but over the last few years, she has become more and more resentful that my son gets more than her other kids. She is by no means poor, but obviously her resources are spread over 5 kids, whereas mine is spread over 1. It was his birthday last week, and as a gift, I bought him a car, which he'll be needing soon anyway, and which I've had the cash set aside for years. When his mom found out, she called me furiously on the phone and told me that I am a piece of crap for making her other kids feel bad, because I've never spent a penny on them, and every time he goes to visit, it's obvious his dad is spending money on him. I snapped back and told her that what? She expects me to shell out on kids I have no obligation to just so she doesn't feel bad? She said that all the years of them seeing my son go on vacations, his clothes, his mannerisms, etc., made her and her kids feel bad. And she told me that I was selfish for having a fund for only my son because none of her other kids will be able to afford college. I told her that's an unfortunate reality for kids who have different parents, and it is what it is. She's normally pretty level-headed, so I honestly have no idea why she thinks it's acceptable to ask me to pay for her other kids too. I've never tried to flaunt anything via my kid. I just want him to have the best I can give him. Okay guys, I think it is a perfect example of a crazy ex. Of course OP is not obligated to support his ex's 4 kids. His ex's kids are not his problem. His only obligation is to his own kid. I understand if the 2 of them were still together, but since they're not, she can call up their fathers and ask them to step it up. She may also feel desperate. Any parent would want to make sure their kids are well set. But asking OP for support is very entitled.